Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, BC Clark.
Well, hello there. This is BC Clark, and my show is The Business Connection. Today, my guests are Tarsha Jackson and Christin Ones. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
Yes. Well, today we're going to talk about business. We've all had different journeys, and we'll talk about, what it was like to get on that journey. Some of the things that we went through on the journey and where we are now.
Yes.
I think it's always good to kind of remind yourself of some of those struggles or whatever it was, or even things that you failed at but really didn't fail, just that it was a time to learn. And I think sometimes as business owners, we just want to get past that so quick, but there's so much to learn in that journey coming up, or riding along. And so today we'll kind of stretch out some of that and talk about it between the three of us, okay?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'll have you guys introduce yourself. So you want to start out, Ms. Ones?
Yes. Well, I'm Christin Ones, and I'm the director of Envision Academy. We are a nonprofit that has a long-term goal of starting a strengths-based, Christ-centered elementary school in North Omaha. And in the meantime, we partner with other nonprofits to help them have more holistic learning environments, consulting about curriculum, classroom management, and then we also do lots of things with helping people learn what their strengths are.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And so we'll talk a little bit about how you first got into that and kind of what that looked like before. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been a teacher for 23 years now, and I taught in OPS for 15 years, and I always loved teaching. I taught at Saratoga, and that was, it was a great family there,
Yeah.
And I loved teaching, and then I had a student in my class. His mother was killed, and he found her. And I just felt like I couldn't help him as much as I wanted to.
Right.
And so that is kind of what the big thing that kind of pushed me to want to start a school, a more holistic school.
So that you can be able to offer that
Yes.
when they've been through that kind of trauma, because
Yes.
that's a lot.
Yes. So it was a lot of trauma for him, and so that was in 2011, and so I've been working steadily away since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been on the journey. Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
And I can feel, I can hear the passion in your voice as you talked about it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
And Tarsha Jackson, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. Well, I'm an accountant by trade. I've been working in nonprofit accounting for almost 30 years, so I just have an affinity for
30.
Yes. I'm 35, by the way. For almost 30 years, so I just have an affinity for nonprofits. So my business is I have a LLC, CFO Snapbox, where I like to do back office assistant, CFO fractional work, and controller, fractional controller work for nonprofits. And like I said, I just have an affinity for nonprofits. So I actually just started a new nonprofit, the Gen Council, where I want to bring community together and talk about financial markets and educate ourselves about learning about financial markets, stock markets, and emerging markets as well. So
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's really good. Well, and I've been around for a short time. No, I'm just kidding. I probably spent about 35 years in information technology. That was my mainstay. I did that for just two companies, actually. One, I was there for like 2 years, and I was in California. And then I came to Omaha in '77, and I started working for Conagra Foods. And so coming up the ranks of that, started off on the ground floor. And then, there's different levels that you go into. And so, but I love that. It was something new every day because I'm not one of those, I'm not I can't sit still and do the same thing every day. I go nuts.
Right.
I have to have a fire every now and then. I have to troubleshoot something, you know, kill somebody or whatever. I have to do something like that. And so it was just a good spot for me. I kind of thrived in that area. So getting up to the ranks, you know, sometimes there was challenges because when I first went there was only me.
Right.
And 77, okay?
Yeah.
So that'll give you some time
Right.
to understand that. But it doesn't really matter to me about what other people think or how they think and what they believe in, all that. I just know who I am and I know whose I am. And so that allows me to be what I am.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so there's a lot of, you know, challenges that you have, but, you know, when you're determined and you know what you know, that you know that you know, then you can make things happen. And you have to sometimes be patient, but continue to learn and find out more things, because sooner or later, what you've been learning that's been on your heart is going to be needed. And that's kind of how it happened with me.
Absolutely.
So in my quest to continue to know more and more about information technology, I started studying different machines that we weren't using at the time. We were a big mainframe company, and but we had subsidiaries that were using smaller systems. And so one of those smaller systems was one that came out that replaced all the ones that the places were using. So I got that promotion. And so I did a lot of traveling, training, all that. And I love that. That is something I love. So that was kind of my journey. But prior to that, my dad owned a gas station. I was in 9th grade when he came in one day and told me that I was going to have to do the books. And I said, "You want me to do the books?"
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "You know, I don't like math." He said, "I know." I said, "I'm not good at it." He said, "I know." I said, "And you want me to do the books?" Right. That was our conversation. He said, "Yeah, you'll figure it out."
Yes, yes, yeah. And
Sometimes
sometimes that's
3 years
what we
to
do.
figure it out.
Right.
By the time I got to 12th grade, I really did not like business at all.
Right.
Because I felt like I was like forced to do something I really didn't want to do and I didn't really care about.
Right.
But anyway, to make a long story short, I didn't know that in the back of my head, that was something that every time I took an aptitude test, it was about business.
Really?
Strong numbers came up about business. But I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm not trying to do that, you know. And, you know, so I was running for a long time. I really wasn't taking that in. And then I don't know what happened one day. I think in 2001, I think I started thinking about it because I was networking and meeting a lot of business owners, meeting a lot of women who were struggling. And I thought, I don't know, I don't know if I want to do this or not. But something just kind of got in me and I was like, you know what? I need to do this. And so with 2 other partners, I started Leading Edge Consulting. And we started consulting with small businesses. And that was kind of the journey that got me on to where I am today. And I've really been doing this for a long time. And it never gets old to me. And the more I learn, I figure the more that I know I can help my clients. And so that's why I continue to go to webinars. I continue to go to classes and conferences, because information is everything. You know, absolutely. Without information, you can't be successful in no kind of way. Yeah. So you have to know, and in order to be a consultant in this field, you have to know a little bit of everything. I'm even doing AI.
Yeah, yes.
So pray for me. But yeah, I mean, so that's what it is. But, you know, we understand that business is that way. Business changes all the time. Absolutely. And I think that's why I love it, because there's something new. And then you're always going to meet people that maybe didn't spend enough time on the foundation part of their business. And that's learning, you know, what all do I need to know to be a business owner? You know, how do I keep a healthy business? You know, is owning a business a good fit for me? You know what I mean? All those things. And a lot of times I encounter a lot of that. And when I worked in the community for almost 8 years, after I retired, I worked in the community for almost 8 years. And I met thousands, you know, of people that had started businesses, did not understand anything about the financials. They didn't understand about how to develop relationships with banks. Their money was there, but they never developed a relationship with any bankers or anything like that. So when they wanted a loan, you know, it was a lot of no's, and that kind of got them to the point where they were just frustrated and they couldn't do what they needed to do. But fortunately, a lot of the CDFIs in the community, they didn't look at strongly against it. They were really for those businesses that could not or didn't have the score that they needed,
Right.
and they could still get a loan. And so, but after a couple of years of giving them loans, I was like, I kept saying, look, we these people are going to default on all these loans. There's no way in the world they don't even know what they're doing, and God knows a lot of them didn't even put the money onto what it was supposed to be. So, in like 6 months, they would come back saying, well, can we get another loan? And I was like, I want, you know, you have to be professional. No, but let's talk about why not now,
Right.
And then that's when I went to him and I said, I don't think I can do this like this. I think we need to have education be part of the whole thing, or we can't, it won't be successful. And so then that's when I was promoted to director of training and client development. And so that's when all the training, and I had all these things, because I was doing this anyway. So I already had presentations and stuff like that were already written. I created things too, because I kept thinking, okay, a lot of people don't know what resources are out there. So I developed an event called, Small Business Council, where, and I would have the NBDC score, every insurance, banks, I would have everyone that had anything to do with business, and we started that, I think it was the third year that I was at this organization in the community. And we did it every 6 months, and every 6 months there was tons of people that come. And then we started getting more people in coming for loans. So once, a lot of times people don't know what they know. Sometimes and they think they know, but they don't.
Right.
And so by having those classes, it gave people a lot of insight and forethought, and to help them be more successful. So I saw a lot of people that came in, and I was certified through CBA to do credit counseling and also train the trainer. And so I started putting on those classes that was for small business, and also we had a straight one that wasn't for trainers, but it was a straight for just anyone who needed to get their credit checked out. So we started doing that, and the classes would be full. Because people really realized that, I need to know this stuff. And because once I said, look, just because it doesn't look good right now, in 6 months, it could be a whole different story. And they were like, in 6 months? Yes, in 6 months. It doesn't take that long.
Right.
And a lot of them didn't have a lot on there. It's just that they never took care of what was bad on there. Sometimes some of them, owe like $1,000 or something.
Right.
And it was like, and they were afraid to look at it. Some of them had never looked at their credit reports.
Sure.
And people would be like,
Yes.
And so I think that's, sometimes it just shows that a lot of, and I know in African American homes, we never discuss money.
Right.
And so, so they never discuss money. And then a lot of people just thought, okay, if I get this credit card, I can just do what I want to do. And they didn't think they had to pay it back for some reason. I'm not sure why that was, but they didn't think they had to pay it back. So it's just things like that.
Right.
I've seen a lot of them, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago, but even before that, when we first started doing this, because I think I left in 23, but prior to that, I saw people after 2 years buy homes, and was happy when they saw that 7-something. Oh my God, you couldn't tell them anything. They were drop the mic.
Right.
That's how it was, and that's good. That's good
Yeah.
because then they realize, I'm never going to let my, and of course you have a few that.
Right.
Still didn't get it, but the
Right.
majority of them did,
Right.
and never looked back. They were like, no, I'm not, this is never going to happen to me again. So I think it's those things, that's journeys, that you're on and you learn. And so what are some of the things you can point out in your journey so far that, kind of made you say, I want to start something new?
Yeah. I think just what you're picking up on is education. I think educating each other and the power of community is so huge.
Yeah.
And meeting people where they are.
Yes.
And not
So
making
important.
someone feel bad about where they are.
Yes.
And on this kind
That's
of
so important.
Absolutely.
Especially with immigrants and, African Americans. You have to, you can't just cut them off at the knees.
Absolutely.
You have to, start with them right where they are.
Right.
And help them understand that, what I'm here to do is kind of give you some information that will help you get out of this, and that way you'll be able to do some things.
Right.
And I think that when you talk to people like that, like you have sense, they can understand it better than, because they're already shut off because they think that you're going to tell them something bad.
Right.
So they close, internally they've shut out everything.
Absolutely.
They're waiting to hear something positive that they don't think they're going to hear.
Right.
And so, because I know that, it made it really easy for me to befriend and develop those relationships that people trusted me, and then they would bring other people in and other people in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's a good thing, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that we have to remember that everybody may not be where we are, and everybody may not have the education or whatever we have, but we can always give something back without shutting people out or putting them down.
Right.
Because it's the way you talk to people, and I just won't have that.
Yeah.
No.
And just, real quickly, like this new journey that I'm on with the Gen Council, it's about educating each other and understanding that we don't all understand, especially
good.
talking about finances and credit, and there's so many of us that are left behind because we
Yep.
don't know. So that's the big part of what this journey is about, is bringing community together to talk about it, educate it, and, and like
And bring
someone
some new
said,
things in. I think you're
right,
bringing
when you know
into-
better, you do better.
That's
Right.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I like to say that.
Yes.
When you know better, you do better.
Yes. Yes.
I like that. And when you got it, bring one.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that those are really good things. What are some of the things you've noticed? Like, I know you talked about but especially with kids, I mean, bless their hearts. And I always would get upset when they would send something home from lunch, the lunch people saying, they haven't paid for this month. Now, the kids they're going to school. Why would you tell a kid that? Send something home to the parent.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Send something home to the parent. Let's stop this talking to the kids like they have all the money and they have all the questions and answers. They don't. They're just going to school. They're kids.
Right.
And so, I would say, and when people tell me that, it's like, I'm just so upset. The kid, that's trauma for a child.
Absolutely.
Because they're talking to that child in front of other kids, right?
Right.
Who may not be in that situation or who may not even get lunch that's discounted or whatever.
Right.
And you're saying that. Now, how does that kid feel?
So the adults need
Exactly.
some education.
Yeah, the
Yes.
adult needs exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. The adult
Yeah.
needs education.
Yeah.
I know that.
So I love what you're doing.
Yeah, this person is coming out with a book, and it's all about customer service. I can't wait. I think it's supposed to be out the end of the month. He's a business owner, and he said that the one thing, and he's done a lot of hospitality, with different hotels and things like that. And he said that the one thing that he just could not tolerate was how people talk to the staff, like the staff that's doing the cleaning. Those are not people that you talk down to. They're keeping the hotels and things running.
That's
Why would you think that they're less than you?
Absolutely.
And so I was so excited because he had another book that came out I thought was really good, and it was about how to grow you.
Right.
And that was really good. So when I saw that he was bringing another book out about customer service,
Right.
I thought this is going to be really good
Yes.
because he's seen everything in the hospitality industry.
Yes.
And so what he's trying to do is correct that.
Yes.
So the people that can understand just because they're cleaning your toilets and that doesn't mean that you get to talk to them any kind of way.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your perspective on this, but
Yeah.
if I could jump in,
Yeah,
again,
go ahead.
one
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
things that we're doing with the Gen Council is talking about community and how we all participate in the economy, right? So I'm there to enjoy my time at the hotel, and there's a whole community that is working within that hotel to make sure that my stay is right. So that's one of the things, just believing in the power and the value of community
Yeah.
and what we all contribute to our community in different ways.
Yes.
And everyone is equally valuable.
That's right.
Equally valuable.
And that's one of the key things about Envision Academy.
Yes.
Is we want everyone to see their value and their worth, who they're made to be. Because I'm not made to be you, and I'm not
right.
made to be you,
Absolutely.
and you're not made to be me.
Right.
And we all have something unique that we can offer.
You all gave us
and,
something different.
I was 37 when I got introduced to Gallup Strengths, and so I just love Gallup Strengths. I'm now a coach, but
I love that.
but that's what we're going to use at Envision to help kids
That's so
learn, and
good.
we're going to start
That's good.
early, learning how our brains process things, because our brains process things so differently from each other. There's things that are the same, but then how I perceive the world, how I process getting through a problem, it's different. And like you were saying, we all need to know. We need to know things. We don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
And if I try to solve a problem like BC, then I might fail.
Right.
I mean, for 13 years, I was failing in classroom management because I was trying to be like this person. I was trying to be like this person.
Yeah.
And then I learned about how the brain works and it changed how it's about me.
Yeah.
I can't control you.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
I love that.
And I also need to value each child and how they process, how they think, what their learning styles are.
What is a good age to start a child thinking about their own strengths?
So you can do it early. What you do when they're young is you know what talents are, you know what things, you know your child, and so then you watch them and you say, if you say you have a child who likes to line things up in order, they put all the colors together, or they do it biggest to smallest or something like that, and you say, wow, I see how you like to organize your toys.
Wow.
That's an organization skill. You are good at organizing. Or you have a child who is always helping their friend. Their friend's sad, so they like sit with them, or their friend falls down, they help them up. I saw you helping your friend today. That shows caring. And you're just calling it out. And you're talking about strengths, and you're talking about different ways of being smart, because it's so important that kids feel valued. I taught first grade for 12 years, and kids in first grade love school. But then I'd have some of those same students by third grade, they'd be burnt out. And I'm like, you're 8 years old. You should not be burnt out. But often our culture of, here in the United States, we value certain strengths and certain smarts above others.
Absolutely.
But we should not do that, because every strength and every smart has a place. And we need the community.
Absolutely.
We need everyone to be successful. We need to see each other's perspectives. We need to see how someone else solves the problem.
I love that. I love how you say that, how we value each other even in our society. And a lot of that has to do with finances, right? So that, we see someone who we perceive as not worth as much in terms of dollars because of the amount of money they make, in the job that they do. So I love that everyone, has value, and
everyone.
And it breaks my heart that kids are burnt out in third grade, but I think, we need to
not everyone,
value
but some
them.
kids.
Right.
Well, I mean, there's some kids that have a schedule like they're a working person. I mean, they go to, it blows my mind. I'm like, this is a child. Can he have any time to himself? Parents don't realize how they're affecting kids when they leave from one thing, they go to the next thing, and then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they do this. On Tuesday, Thursday, how is it? I mean, it's so hard.
It's hard.
And kids grow up and they wonder why time management is a problem. Because they don't train them that, okay, you'll have 1 hour to do this, so that task takes an hour. You have one, even clients that come into me and they'll say, if you could just help me with time management. I said, well, I can't. And they always look at me and it was like, you can't? I was like, no. I said, but I can help you apply time to the tasks that you have. And they go, oh. I said, you can manage your tasks, but time is going to fly no matter what.
True.
Right? It's going.
True.
You cannot manage it. So, I'm not going to even tell you I'm going to help you manage time. But what we can do is manage what you have to do in the time you have. And so when I said, oh, I never thought about it like that. So we learn something new every day. We learn how to do things differently. And a lot of people that I've worked with that will come in with that time management thing. I just look at them. I was like to myself, here we go again, And then I just say, I can't do anything with helping you with the time. But how about if I help you with your tasks? And they say, what do you mean? I said, well, what are we talking about when you say you can't manage time? Well, I have all these things to do and I just can't get them done. And I said, we need to apply time to the task. And so
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Well, I mean, there's no way you can, And I learned that a long time ago. I think when I kept thinking, why can't I get this done? And I thought, well, let's see, how much time do I have? And that's when it came on me that you cannot manage the time. Because if you're not paying attention, time just flies. We don't. But if you know that I've got this task to do, I know how long it takes. Okay, so that's from 8 to 9. This is what I'm doing. Sometimes I would have 4 hours set aside. If that's what I was doing a speaking for a conference or whatever I was doing, I set that time aside so I can just. That's all I did. I don't answer the phone. I don't. That's what I did,
Yep.
and then it forced me to be disciplined enough to watch my tasks so that I can apply the time that I need to apply to them.
That's right.
And so it does. It is another strength.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Learning to use your strengths
Right.
to get things done.
Yes.
So like for me, I have a lot of relationship building strengths. I'm a very people oriented person.
Me too.
I don't have a lot of executing, getting things done. And so I had to learn that's okay.
Yes.
But when I need to get things done, I think about the people that I'm doing it for.
Yes.
Even when it's like doing the books
Yes.
for
Yeah.
the nonprofit or
Yeah.
or having to answer all the emails.
Yes.
Okay, who's the person I'm answering?
Right.
Yeah.
Or the books, I have to do this because otherwise we can't make a difference in people's lives.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so I just have to reframing that and making just little changes
Make it
where you
make
where
sense
you
for you.
change.
Yeah. Because like you said, everybody is different.
That's right.
And so, who God knows how long I was trying to figure out the time thing, but I think that's why I remember it so well. But I always kept thinking, why can't I get this done? Why can't I get this? And I'm an executioner. I believe in executing. I have a problem with people that just talk, and nothing ever happens.
Yes.
I have an issue.
Yes. Yes.
But I think that for me too is that I always believe that don't tell people you're going to do something and it don't get done. That's
Yes.
it kind of destroys your credibility,
Absolutely.
especially in business.
Right.
It's
And
like
that's one of the
temp-
things you talk about. Part of the journey is
Yes.
learning how to protect my time.
Yes.
Yes.
So that I'm not over promising and under
Right.
delivering because I
right.
want to get it all done.
Yes.
For everybody. And
That was me.
Right.
Yeah, that was
right.
me too. Just oh yeah, I can do that. Oh yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
And I'm stressing trying to get it done.
Exactly.
And so now I usually I have a 4-year-old great baby, and he'll say when you say something to him, he doesn't answer right away. He'll say, I don't think so. But it's like forced me because he's like, let me just think about that, and he's just like, he's 4.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes.
And so I want to ask him, say, what are you thinking about when you say, gives him opportunity to decide whether he wants to do it or not. I think that's a strength.
Yes.
It's like, and then you can call him and he may not answer right away.
Right.
He's like, he takes his time to say, I'm here. And it's like, like most kids would say, they'll say, come running, like, yeah. He'll say, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I was like, none of my kids have that kind of intelligence. So it must be the era that he's in, right? But I learned from him. I mean, you can learn stuff from anybody,
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to someone who was telling me that they needed help with presentation because they climb up as soon as they hear their name called. Like if someone introduces them, their name called, then that, and I said, okay, that's just stage fright, And she said, I don't know what it is, but I can't speak. And I said, well, we have to do some things. And I said, number one, don't try to answer right away. I said, you need to pause. She said, but once they call my name, they're expecting me. I said, who is expecting you to speak? I said, because, I learned in Toastmasters, I'm a DTM. And so what I learned in Toastmasters is that pausing is amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. And I was like, I'm like, all right. So we started working on it. So now she's like, she said, but is it going to take like 5 minutes? I said, no. I said, allow yourself to receive that they've called you, and now you're preparing to go up and speak. Now, while you're on your way up, you're clearing your head. You know what you're going to say when you first get there. Have an opener. Have a line that you open up with, And so she was like, I'm learning. She said, this is getting so easy. She said, okay, so when can I speak? And I said, we have a class on the 12th. You want to come and, just speak? She was like, yeah. So, I've been working with her for like 2 months, and it's good to see how people now, they want to see themselves changed.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they're asking, because at one time they wouldn't even ask you a question. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would just come and say, oh, can you do this or can you do that? They would never say what they were struggling with. And so when she said that, I was like, yes, yes, indeed. She said, because you never have a problem. I see you speaking and you just get up and speak. I was like, yeah, but she don't know how long I've been doing it. So, so I said, well, everybody have have their own tolerance for what they do. Some people naturally do not like to get up in front of people and speak. Now, when I was 16, I would not have. I was withdrawn. No, I was like shy. No one believes me when I tell them that. But I was bashful. I was shy because it used to be. I was so skinny when I was little, and my eyes bulged out of my head. They used to call me frog eyes. So I had no worth. And so a lot of times getting past some of that stuff, because you bring it with you. I don't care what people say. You carry that stuff until you deal with it. And I would be afraid to look in the mirror because when I looked in there, I always saw the eyes bulging out. And so it was one time, and to this day, I don't know who this was. I'm just going to say it was an angel. I was, and I can't remember, I was in Louisiana because I was still living there. That's my home. And what happened was this lady, I always walked with my head down. And all of a sudden, this person was in front of me trying to lift my head up. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening in my head? I didn't speak. And I said, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then she said, if you could only see what I see. That didn't take, I'm behind time. Oh, thank you for telling me. Anyway, so thank you ladies for being here.
Thank you.
This was amazing. And I obviously didn't put the task to the time.
That's okay.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.